confidence, certainly no issue for these two sides. Sweden and Slovakia both excelled in very differing ways in their first Euro 2020 group games. Jan Andersson's players nullified a Spain side who were dominant in possession, and Marcus Berg's could so easily have snatched a winner for Sweden. But a point from that fixture felt like a win to the blue and yellow. They have that tournament knack of grinding results out. Slovakia topped the group after a surprise victory over Robert Lewandowski's Poland, but coach Stefan Tarkovic has warned that today could be an even tougher proposition. As with most second games in this tournament, the countries involved are aware of how big 3 points could be to take them towards the knockout stages. But it's not quite all or nothing for Sweden or Slovakia. Well, the beautiful port city of St. Petersburg in Russia is the venue, nestled on the coastline of the Baltic Sea. And the Krestovsky Stadium is all set to host its fourth fixture in this tournament. The venue holds 68,000. This game is fortunate to have nearly 30,000 present. Sweden have the obvious edge in quality, but can Slovakia spring another surprise? There's a couple of old stages involved on either side. Sebastian Larsson for Sweden and Marek Hamsik for Slovakia, and determined not to be outdone by Larsson's fitness and Hamsik's hair, Mickey Gray is alongside me.
Steve, absolute pleasure to be covering this game. The Euros as a whole, I think, has been an absolute hit. I've absolutely loved every single minute of it. Atmospheres in stadiums is what we've needed, and what a game we've got in front of us. Two sides that will be chasing those 3 maximum points. Slovakia have got off to a great start. Sweden, fantastic draw in that first game, but they want to capitalise on that. They want to come away from this St. Petersburg Stadium with all maximum points if they possibly can today.
Well, it's a great atmosphere, isn't it? Nicky said it before, and it's quite obvious. More fans, the better. The game is better for it. Slovakia in all white. Sweden, of course, in the yellow and blue. Sweden will kick from left to right as we watch the game. And a quick run through of the lineup. Sweden 4-4-2, of course they are. That's how they know how to play. Robin Olsen in goal. Lustig, Danielsson, Lindelof and Augustinsson the back four. Midfield of Larsson, Ekdal, Olsen and Forsberg. Isak and Berg lead the line. Look out for Isak and the involvement of Forsberg. Slovakia, it's a 4-2-3-1. Pekarik, Saka, Skriniar and Hubakana the defence in front of Dubravka. Kutska and Horovsky the midfield. Koscielnik, Hamsik and Mak are behind the false nine. Duda. They do lack a natural goal scorer in the Slovakia ranks. Let's see how this one plays itself out as Slovakia win an early free kick and Kutska goes to ground on the halfway line.
Yeah, an early challenge there. Sweden obviously trying to get themselves on the front foot. Just a little bit too tenacious there, his challenge. You just said, Steve, you know, this atmosphere is going to spur these players on. There's no question in my mind. But I think it's getting off to that early start if you possibly can. You can see physicality from the Swedish players so far in this game. Very early, they're going to have to be so careful.
Well, they played with intensity, both these sides in their first games, but if you look at the result, the 0-0 against Spain, it was remarkable considering the lack of possession they had. This will be a very different game for Sweden. They expect to dominate the ball more, dominate the game more, and the coach, Jan Andersson, has said that they won that game, they mentally won it, but of course it was a draw. It was a point under siege really against Spain. This will be entirely different today.
No, without question, yeah. And you know, you say that Andersson drew that game. It must have felt like a win because he got his game plan spot on. Yes, they only had 15% possession in that game. I think the goalkeeper Olsen had more touches than anybody else in the team. That kind of says it all.
As Slovakia make an early inroad, and that ball is just flighted over the top of Kutska, who'd made the run from midfield. It was a decent enough cross from the wide area. Martin Koscielnik put it in. Kutska was clearly offside. He was a couple of yards clear. But I'm not sure Sweden were expecting the run from the midfielder there. And that's the difference with how this Slovakia team can play with the false nine. There's a number of runners who'll break from midfield. And here's Sweden with the ball. Placed out onto the left-hand side. Emil Forsberg eyeing it up, but it didn't quite arrive to him. And now Isak will jump for it on the edge of the Slovakia penalty area. Headed away by Saka. Back in Swedish possession. It's Larsson with an early shot. Just tests the keeper. Stings the fingers of Dubravka. Gets him into the game. And Larsson just making him aware that all of a sudden things might get ramped up a little bit. Took an awkward bobble, a little deflection, but Dubravka was equal to it.
Yeah, no, that's the first intent from Sweden where they broke forward. Seb Larsson drifting in from this right-hand side. It just fell to his weaker foot, his left foot. But as he took that strike on, he didn't really get a lot of power behind it. But with that little deflection from Skriniar, just tested the goalkeeper Dubravka. And that's what they've got to try and do, Sweden. Now, you talk about possession, get themselves into better areas. They're being patient in the play. The build-up from Slovakia, a lot of possession, but it's all at the back at the moment, looking for those midfield runners, but they're going to have to get further up the field for that to happen.
Saka to his right-hand side. Receives it back again. He'll ignores the shout from Skriniar and plays it over the halfway line. Sent wide to the right-hand side. Marek Hamsik with that familiar mohawk. Picks up play. He's the brains behind this team, and he delivers a ball into the Swedish penalty area that bobbled past at least two yellow shirts. Lindelof was one of them, and he tries to signify that everything was fine, puts his thumb up, but for a moment or two it certainly wasn't. And it almost caught out Swedish. They're almost caught flat-footed.
Yeah, what a ball in from Hamsik over on that right-hand side. It's got movement on it, it's got a lot of pace. And you're just thinking Lindelof's just got to clear that with his left foot, but it just tries to dip underneath his left foot. It just causes a little bit of a scare for this back line of Sweden.
So it'll be a corner for Slovakia from the left-hand side. Hamsik, left-footed with the outswinger. There's a header goalwards, and it goes over the top of the crossbar from Juraj Kucka. And he's the man who's had two chances so far. Whether his manager has told him to get more involved in the fray. This time he glances a header wide right of goal. But I suppose Slovakia in the opening stages have offered more than Sweden.
Yeah, they have. They're certainly trying to get themselves on the front foot against that man Hamsik. Great ball in from the right-hand side with his right foot, and then just walks across to the left-hand side and puts a corner in with his left foot. He's got great quality, but you talk about Kuška, 10 goals for his nation. Looks a real physical threat when he gets into that 18-yard area. He's got a big leap on him. Gets on the end of this header there, but just can't direct it down towards goal.
It's Talksport 2, Sweden 0, Slovakia 0. In the second game in the European Championships 2020 for these two. Both got off to a good start. This one promises a lot. Is Alexander Isak out to the right side. Sebastian Larsson still showing he's got pace in him. His ball into the penalty area nearly drops towards Isak, but just about headed away by Hubachan. And Sweden will try and keep the press high. Lindelof, they're forced actually backwards for a moment or two with Danielsson, and Forsberg has it. He's given licence to roam, as Forsberg. Starts on the left, but a very creative and influential player. Knocks it into Olsen, back to Forsberg again. He looks short towards Isak in the penalty area. He's 6'4", but he's got quick feet. And as he tries to whip that cross in, he gets a deflection out for a corner. And the Swedish centre-forward trying to poke the rest of his teammates off.
Old head on young shoulders. Absolutely fantastic. Isak on a couple of occasions. You can sense the nervousness in this back line of Slovakia. Whenever he gets around that 6 to 18-yard area, he's got great feet for a tall man, causes problems, always trying to get to the byline, trying to set one of his teammates up there, but great play.
It'll be a Sweden corner from the left, played in low towards Berg, deflected back out into the pass of Kristoffer Olsen. He curves it in, but he's caught by the onrushing Dubravka, who had the situation under control. Rolls it out quickly, hoping that Slovakia can break and maybe catch Sweden off their guard. Doesn't work that way. Sweden is such a compact, organised outfit. They're going to have to do something special, Slovakia. If you consider that if they got a clean sheet today, Sweden, they'd have 6 clean sheets in the last 7 games, that would say everything about this side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it tells a story in itself, doesn't it? They're very hard to break down, as you can see. They're quite content in letting Slovakia have the ball in their own defensive areas, but when they try and break into Sweden's half, every single player is back defending, making themselves resolute, very difficult to break down. Mentioned a couple of players already, Steve. Forsberg with that right foot, he will not stop running. Every time I see him play for Leipzig, he's a live wire. He wants to get involved in the game as much as he possibly can. And when he chops in on that right foot, he's got the quality. We'll be looking for that run from Isak. Just want to see a little bit more from Berg at the moment. Get a little early touch if you possibly can. Game's passing by at the minute.
Well, Berg missed a massive chance to steal a win against Spain, and in one of the sadder aspects of social media, got quite a lot of negative comments aimed his way after that. But he's a tough, hardened, experienced campaigner, and he'll want to bounce back and show his country what he's all about. Berger's got an awful lot of caps under his belt, 86 caps, 24 goals. He might just grab a goal in this game or the next. And it's Slovakia moving forward down the left-hand side, and eventually Ondrej Duda runs out of ideas and the ball runs out of play. You can hear that wonderful atmosphere going around the stadium, and I think half those fans were in London last night, because outside my hotel room I could barely get a wink of sleep until 2 in the morning with the Scotland fans. I know Dan mentioned before 30,000 descending on London. I'm sure 20,000 were outside my hotel.
I think there might be a few more than that, Steve, as well. I was just having a look at an incident a minute ago there again. Christopher Olsen on Robert Mack. We talked about the physicality of this Swedish side. That's 2 challenges from Olsen that he's got completely wrong. I think the referee, Daniel Siebert, is going to have a look at that just to say, look, one more, and we'll be getting a yellow card, son.
Yeah, he's got away with it. But our officials today, Daniel Siebert from Germany and Marco Fritz in charge of VAR. He's from Germany as well. Slovakia with possession down the right-hand channel. Koscielnik puts it in low, and for a moment Robin Olsen completely lost the ball under himself.
Yeah, I mean, again, Slovakia look really threatening down that right-hand side. Koscielnik, a lovely little ball into the area there, but it was a very late shout from Robin Olsen. And Marcus Danielsson left it at the last moment, and the goalkeeper kind of spilled it a little bit. It was quite fortunate that there was no Slovakian player anywhere around the goalkeeper's feet.
Well, we're in St. Petersburg for this match, and it's Sweden 0, Slovakia 0 on Talksport 2. I mentioned before, of course, England, Scotland, and the very best coverage of this home nations clash will come your way on Talksport and Talksport 2. 2 choices of listening. From 7 o'clock, Mark Saggers presents. Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce, Sol Campbell assisting him. Hang on as Sweden break forward on the right-hand side. Maybe a chance to cross him by Lustig. It's gone too far, that ball. And now the referee blows up for a foul on a Slovakia player. But if you prefer the Scotland-focused commentary later tonight, Shaban will be in charge of the presentation on Talksport 2. Andy Barr and Paul Dickoff will give you more of a tartan edge. The Tartan Army might just prefer that one. Well, Berg clattering into a Slovakia player, and the referee pauses play for a moment or two, just while everyone can get their composure back once more. What do you make of the opening 10 minutes that we've seen, Mickey Gray?
It's been intense. I don't think we've seen any great quality. A couple of lovely balls on the right-hand side from Slovakia being put into the area. Kuška with that physicality, making those great long runs into the 18-yard box from that midfield area. But I think it was always going to be like that the first 10 or 15 minutes. Both teams obviously trying to find their feet, trying to settle down as much as they possibly can, get a stranglehold in the game if they can. But it's also difficult because you've got 2 sides in front of us that want to get off to a perfect start, and nobody really wanted to make mistakes. But I think we've got to try and calm the game down a little bit.
I think Slovakia are the surprise package, aren't they? They've got that win over Robert Lewandowski's Poland. Can they back it up today? They're very much a team where Skriniar is marshalling the defence, Kotzker is the engine, and Hamsik the talent further forward. And that's a foul committed as Huberchan gets involved with Marcus Berg, and Huberchan accused of pushing him over from behind.
Yeah, and as you can see, the assistant referee there didn't really put his flag up, left it up to the referee, Seabear, to make that decision. But it's a silly foul from Huberchan, or on the left-hand side. He's got Berg, he's not really going anywhere. And as we touched on before the game, the quality that Sweden have got from set pieces, as I well know, Seb Larsson with that right foot, he's got great quality, whips his ball in with a lot of pace, and he's certainly got an aerial threat to look for.
Well, Gustafsson and Larsson are both with the ball at the moment. Larsson, who just looks remarkably fit, 36 years old, still very much the heartbeat of this Swedish engine. And either he or Gustafsson will take it, but you'd bank on Larsson. Sweden with a big chance in the game after 12 minutes. Right-footed, whips it in, the header is over the top of the crossbar, and Dubravka can breathe a sigh of relief. Well, they came close, but I think that's eventually hit a Slovakia player, Lubomir Sapka, and it's come off him and gone over his own crossbar.
And what a ball. Fantastic quality into the area from Seb Larsson over on this right-hand side. A lot of pace on it. He was looking for Mikael Lustig. A little bit of a challenge when he got into that 6-yard area, but that's what they've got to look for. The physicality side of these Swedish players. They've got the height. You see the determination to try to get the end of that header there. He tried to get it towards goal, but a little deflection just took it away from the goalkeeper.
I think we're also familiar with Larsson from his time at Arsenal, Birmingham, and of course Sunderland, where you saw him an awful lot. Are you surprised by the condition he's kept himself in and his involvement even at this stage?
I want to see his passport, Steve. Something's clearly wrong there. He's still playing and I'm not. But no, it's full credit to Seb Larsson, the way he's looked after himself. I believe his teammates said that he was one of the hardest trainers when he was at Sunderland every single day, and he never let the team down whenever he was playing. I think that's a testament to him that he's still actually out there now. What, 130 caps, 10 goals? Absolutely fantastic.
Ekdal had a touch on it backwards to Lindelof. He was the outstanding performer in that first game against Spain. And Lindelof here rolls the ball over the halfway line to the left-hand side, Forsberg, and then it's Olsen. Olsen chips it down the right wing for Alexander Isak. Isak, the bright young thing of Spanish football with Sociedad, where he was named La Liga Young Player of the Year. And he lost the ball there and then chased hard to win it back and helped Ekdal gain control once more. That's what you want to see from your front players. Forsberg now. And Sweden dominating the passage of play, pinging it around the midfield. Drops to Isak on the edge of the Slovakia penalty area and then cleared on because the white shirts had retreated to try and see off the danger.
Well, he certainly looks a threat again, doesn't he, Isak? I mean, he's not just drifting over to the right-hand side, he's moving around, he's making that Slovakian back line think about what positions they have to take up, because he's got wonderful feet for a tall guy, and every time he gets himself turned, when he gets those 1v1 situations, he's such a threat. He's got the pace to just get by here. If he's got anybody, trying to close him down, he will use the midfield players who are obviously backing him up. I think he's an outstanding player.
Danielson to Lindelof. Man alongside me is Mickey Gray, handful of England caps, and one of them was against Sweden, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And guess what the result was?
0-0.
0-0, yeah. That says a lot about Sweden, another clean sheet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I came on at half-time. I'll never forget it. It was at Wembley, because the first memory I had at Wembley wasn't so nice, but that one was a very, very special occasion, and a camp that I cherish.
Ball back to Dubravka, and then whipped out of play. And the Slovakia keeper with a very stern look at that as the ball goes out. Slovakia who qualified for the Euros through the playoffs. They beat the Republic on penalties and Northern Ireland 2-1. And I'm not sure how much was really expected of them. Not one of the oldest squads. Maybe last hurrahs for Dubravka, Hamsik, Pekarik, Kuchka, Huberchan. We've got some old players there, talented nonetheless. That's a foul committed over on the Swedish left, and it was Andre Duda was involved. Play starts once more by Sweden. Lindelof pushing it to Lustig, out to Larsson on the right hand side, picks up the pace, drives the ball, drills it in towards the feet of Olsen. Back down the line to Lustig again. Sweden with all the possession. They're putting the better passages of play together. Forsberg turns his man, and then he tried to drill one over to the left wing. The pass never came off. Slovakia will have a throw.
Well, 17 minutes into this game, they probably have more passes Sweden than they did in the whole of the Spain game, to be honest with you. But I talked about a side settling down. It certainly looks like it's Sweden now. They've found their positions. They're being patient in those midfield areas. Olsen is the dictator. He's the one who makes them tick. And they say they just get their head turned and they get a look up. They look for Isak and they're looking for Berg. If they can get those two guys involved in this game further up the field, it'll stretch it. It'll make it difficult for Slovakia to close them down. But they're just being so patient in the play. When they lose the ball, the first thing they do is get everybody behind the ball and say, right, come on then, break us down.
Marek Hamsik rolls it back to his defensive line, and Skriniar is one of those who receives it. Fascinating story behind him. 8 years ago he was written off by Zelina in Slovakia, sent on loan to Zlate, ran it clumsy, and look at him now. Milan Skriniar is very much the heartbeat for Inter. He's an inspiration for this national side in the past couple of years. And he scored that winner against Poland in the first game. Really set the marker down. Here's Hamsik. Ball into the centre circle. Duda dropped in there. The ball's robbed as Lindelof comes from behind. Dribbles it into the Slovakia half. He's still going, but now he tries to scramble from his knees to continue that run. It doesn't work. Referee doesn't blow up, and the ball goes out for a Sweden throw on the right.
Well, I think he's got a case here, Victor Lindelof. There was a couple of challenges niggling around his ankles there. He tries to get himself back to his feet. He's having a look at the referee, just saying, well, come on, are you going to blow your whistle? Well, let's see that. I like to see that. Centre halves coming out from the back, playing on the right-hand side. If you've got time and space in front of you, you've got to try and use it.
The coach, Jan Andersson, expects relentless running from these Sweden players. That really is the game. Here's Ekdal, and again they press Slovakia back, and from 30 yards out they're making passages of play which are tiring on Slovakian legs because they're trying to track that ball all the time. This one aimed at Isak. It bounces awkwardly and away from him, and then he gets involved in a challenge which results in a Sweden throw-in. Sweden take it quickly. They know that Slovakia are pretty much on the back foot at the moment. Ekdal. And back defending is Ondrej Duda, essentially the lead man, and he's halfway in his own half at the moment. Danielsson. And Sweden are all camped out, 10 of the 11 in the Slovakia half. Is this building up to a goal for the blue and yellows? Olsen to Forsberg. Lovely turn from Forsberg. Gets away from his man. Doesn't find the right ball when it really mattered. But they'll go again. Isak to Larsson. 20 yards out from goal. Touch behind to Lustig. And now back to Lindelof. And a lot of play, a lot of passes, but with no end product at the moment. Danielsson to Olsen. Shifts his way to the edge of the box. And they're working hard to try and get it Slovakia, but Sweden aren't giving them a sniff, and eventually Slovakia have to put it out for a corner kick. And Peter Pekarik has just given them a breather.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head, Steve. A lot of possession, but not really getting it anywhere with it. They've got to up the tempo, Sweden. They've got to get the ball into those wide areas a lot quicker, because they've given Slovakia the opportunity to get everybody behind the ball. Quite fortunate here, they've won themselves a corner. Now this might be a real threat, because I said before, the big guys.
Forsberg corner in towards the Slovakia penalty area. Isak's there, it drops out to the edge of the box. The shot from Larsson ricochets off Duda's body, and then the referee blows his whistle. Man down inside the box is Koscielnik, and I'm sure he'll milk this just to take the pressure off Slovakia. I don't know what the rethink would be for Slovakia, but they possibly need one, because the game at the moment feels like it's slipping away from them.
Yeah, they look a little bit nervy. Just seeing that foul again there on Koscielnik in his 18-yard area. A little touch on the back of his ankle there from Alexander Isak. But again, you see these corners coming into the area, they look as if they're panicking a little bit because they know the aerial threat that Sweden have. But I just want to see Sweden themselves, although they are on top in the game, I think they've got to try and move the ball a little bit quicker. Yes, you can take the temperature into consideration, but I think getting that ball forward into those wide areas will give them a better opportunity of breaking down Slovakia.
Mickey Gray alongside myself, Steve Hothersall on Talksport 2. It's your home of the Euros 2020, and what a tournament we've had so far. We're a week into the tournament. Where did that week go? We've seen some remarkable football, some great goals, some wonderful drama, and the groups are all starting to take shape. Now, defeat for either of these sides today, Sweden or Slovakia, doesn't really spell the end of anything, so you would imagine even a draw would be acceptable for both. But given how Sweden have started the game, they'll fancy a lot more than just a draw. Forsberg on the left-hand side tries to play the 1-2 with Hubachan. Doesn't come off. Hamsik's back there to try and find an avenue out of things. Duda gets involved, and then there's a foul just on the halfway line as Juraš Kucka is dragged down, and the first yellow card of the game is brandished by the referee, and that is given to Kristoffer Olsen.
Well, I did say, Steve, sorry for jumping in, I did say that he was on a tight line, Olsen. I think that's 2 or 3 challenges there, and it's just one step too far for Seabear, the referee. Wonderful play from Slovakia over on that right-hand side. Hamsik, great feet, chopping it from his right foot to his left foot, little give and go. And I think that's what Slovakia got to try and do. They're trying to get them on the counter-attack, looking for gaps whenever they get the opportunity, playing their way out from the back with some nice football. They've got to try and grow into this game a little bit. It's passing them by, as you mentioned before. Nothing really happening apart from those 2 half opportunities for Kucka. You've got to try and get Duda involved in the game. I don't think he's actually touched the ball yet.
No. Well, the other game in this group is Poland against Spain. It takes place in Seville. 8 p.m. kickoff tomorrow night. And of course it's live on Talksport, as every one of the games in the tournament are. You will not miss a kick or a breath of the action on Talksport and Talksport 2. Ball placed back by Lustig to Lindelof. Right side of the 2 centre-halves at the moment, and then you've got Danielson waiting for it. There's a large portion of the pitch covered by shade, and Lustig at the moment is in that. Danielson on the left is very much in the glaring sunshine of St. Petersburg. We're watching this one from the monitors, and it's a really fascinating game. After 24 minutes, it is still goalless, but the pressure being ramped up by Sweden. Here's Emil Forsberg from the left, and he plays it into Ekdal. Ekdal swivels and turns. Very experienced international, 58 caps to his name. Forsberg again, he's drifted into the middle, played it down the left-hand channel for Augustinsson, the left back. He'll get the cross in. Larsson's there, and the ball's just a whisker too high for him, and he can't find a header to direct a goal.
Well, I was just about to criticise Sweden because they had about 30 to 40 touches and never really got anywhere with them. Olsen, lovely ball over to that left-hand side. Augustinsson worked his way, found that little half a yard, puts a beautiful ball into the 6-yard area. And they're probably looking for somebody else to get on the end of it. Seb Larsson, not known for his heading. He was in between centre-half and full-back. Couldn't really get any contact on the ball, but that's what they have to try and do. I said get the ball wide, put it into the area, but make sure you've got players in the box who are willing to get on the end of it.
Thrown by Lindelof into the Slovakia penalty area. That header clear only reaches the head of Olsen. Now it will be helped away by Duda. And out wide to the left-hand side, touched by Robert Mack. Mack, who was really influential in the first game and not found a footing in this one as yet.
Certainly was on that left-hand side. Some wonderful ability with that right foot of his. He saw for the goal, the own goal, which I thought was a shame. I thought he deserved to actually get that with his name on it. Great feet, low centre gravity, knows how to beat a player. Again, I'd still like to see a little bit more of him in this game, although it was very tight and tense. He's got the ability to make that space for himself.
Duda to Pekarik, Pekarik to Koscielnik on the right wing. And now a little passage of play for Slovakia to feed on. To improve confidence, to get the machine ticking. Is Skriniar. Cross to his right-hand side and Lubomir Saka. looks for an immediate ball through the centre, but they've lost out possession, and Alexander Isak is first on it. Drives Sweden upfield. Forsberg gets involved. Cheeky little back flick. That was aimed at getting Augustinsson down the left wing. He did that. He's challenged, but he's retained the ball. He crosses it to Isak, and Berg tried to volley it goalwards, but he's only succeeded in putting it 20 yards into the air. And then as the keeper, Dubravka, came to catch it, there was a hustle of players around him, and somehow Slovakia have found a way out of that pressure.
Yeah, there was a melee of players around the goalkeeper, Dubravka, there, and Berg just made a nuisance of himself. First initial opportunity, can't really wrap his left foot around that, but it looks like it's just going to go out of play. He keeps it alive. Dubravka can't get anywhere near it. You just wait for a Swedish midfield player to run in that, but it was so hard for them because Berg was up there on his own. But you can sense now, down that left-hand side, Sweden look a real threat. Forsberg, Augustinsson, making a nuisance of themselves now.
It's clearly an area they've looked at. Koscielnik, Peter Pekarik really got their work cut out dealing with the Swedish attacks. The Slovakia coach, Stefan Tarkovic, before the game, he said, I think Sweden will have more quality than Poland, but we still believe we can be successful. If they are to be, then things might have to change dramatically on the pitch. Of course, they played for 30 minutes when Poland were down to 10 men, so that was influential. Here's Hubachan for Slovakia from the left-back position. Gives to Skriniar, and Skriniar over to the right-hand side for Saka. All the defenders having a touch of things. Back through Saka again to Skriniar once more. There's a number of young players that we expect to maybe light up this tournament, and Alexander Isak is one of those, and I think we're all waiting for the first goal from the young Swedish forward. He's hovering, isn't he? I'm sure a player like that knows the expectations on his shoulders as well, Mickey.
Yeah, without a doubt. He's biding his time. He's basically shown this back line what quality he's got, and he's just waiting for that one opportunity to light up this tournament.
Hubachan with the ball through to Duda inside the Swedish penalty area, but he's on a diagonal run and he's run the ball to the corner flag. Plays it behind him, does Duda. Helped into the penalty area by Hamsik, drilled down, and the early ball in, was there nearly a shout for a handball? Kutska played the ball forwards towards the goal, and I think Mickey Gray thought there was going to be a handball shout there. No players appealed. Another attack by Slovakia across the face of goal. Lindelof miscues the clearance. Sweden are having to soak up some pressure themselves for a moment or two. Kutska again involved. Koscielnik with the ball from the right-hand side. And now Sweden do manage to push it up to the halfway line, and there's a foul forced and play will stop.
Well, all the plaudits that we've given Sweden for the defensive side of their play, getting everybody behind the ball, they've looked a little bit nervy at the back. Great ball into the area. This one comes to Koscielnik as that ball just comes out there. He's got nobody around him. Sorry, it's not. I think it's Duda. No, it's Kushka again. This one falls to his foot, but they look a little bit shaky. And I think Slovakia, there's an opportunity for them, certainly down this right-hand side, where they've got in on numerous occasions. Just keep putting balls into that area, asking questions. Somehow they've got to try and break Sweden down.
Free kick Slovakia into the Swedish penalty area. Slight miss kick, and it was quite hard technically to pull off, but Kutska had run to the dead ball line on the left-hand side, and he couldn't convert the ball back into the 6-yard box. He's been a really influential player for them so far, Kutska.
He has, so on 4 occasions now he's got himself onto the end of something in the 18-yard box. He's making great runs. I said before, he's got that physical presence about him, some nice balls into the area, and he looks the big threat for Slovakia this afternoon, and certainly somebody that this Swedish backline have got to look out for, because Sweden, yes, they look nervy at the back on occasions when they break them down, but very comfortable when they're on the ball. But I just want to see their possession. I want to see them do a little bit more with it. Got to get into those wide areas, midfield runners if you possibly can, to help out Isak and Berg in those forward areas.
Sweden 0, Slovakia 0. We presume you're keen on keeping up with all the Euro action if you're listening into this one, and don't worry, you will not miss an ounce of it today on the Talksport network. Croatia, Czech Republic comes from 5 o'clock. Jim White in the hot seat, Alex Crook and Chris Uilumo. on commentary duty. England-Scotland from 8 p.m. Of course, 2 commentary choices. Talksport 2, there's the Scottish slant of things as Larsson gets the ball in. Paul Dickoff and Andy Barr with the commentary there. Whilst on Talksport, Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce and Sol Campbell bringing the action. And it continues tomorrow. Saturday we'll see Hungary, France, Portugal, Germany, Spain against Poland, the other game from this group. Lindelof. Square to his left to Danielson. The yellow of Sweden is camped in the Slovakia half, but that's poor from Lindelof. Just when everyone's in position and Sweden can think about creating something, he delivered a 5-yard pass into Slovakia feet.
Yeah, well, if Victor Lindelof is going to come out from the back when he gets into that final third of the opposition's half, his quality has to be a little bit better. Puts his arm in the air to apologise. Simple little 5-yard pass, but you're going to break any of these nations down, your quality has got to get better than that.
So Hamsik for Slovakia got a famous win in the first game in the European Championships. Here's Duda, knocks it back the halfway line, curved ball round from Horovsky, the midfielder brought in for this fixture. Koscielny on the right hand side. Some important work being done down that channel by Martin Koscielny. Eventually cleared away by Augustinsson. And is it going to be a throw in for Sweden? Isak lifted his arm, signalling he thought it might be. No, it's Slovakia's. He's walked away from it. Throw is backwards towards the defence. And Milan Skriniar has possession of things. The Inter Milan player to Hubachan. And forward to Duda, who receives a wrap on the heels by Victor Lindelof from behind. Referee hasn't blown up for that, whether it was out of his vision. Slovakia start again from the halfway. Hubachan into the midfield. Hamsik, first touch. Tried to play the 1-2 with Horovsky. Didn't work, allowed Sweden back into the game. But now Isak's lost it. Hamsik charges through the centre. Oh, and he plays an awkward pass behind his man. It will be picked up by Duda. Wide on the left-hand side now for Hamsik. Cuts the ball crossfield to the right edge of the Sweden penalty area. And every time you think they're just going to make that final stride forward, they play a backwards pass.
Yeah, and again, you know, they're working it over to that right-hand side.
Crossing by Slovakia towards the dead ball line. Hamsik had darted into an awkward area just on the edge of the 6-yard box. But as he goes, Danielson follows him and just does enough to see it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we need to see more from Hamsik. Getting into that 6-yard area. Yes, his first touch lets him down on this occasion. Decent defending there from Danielson. Stays with him. Watches for that first touch. Can't pull it back towards the 6-yard area, but he's got that quality, Hamsik. You have to get him on the ball, right or left foot. We've seen the quality so far, but on that right-hand side for Slovakia, that's where they look like they've got a real threat.
Hamsik is playing his football with Gothenburg at the moment. He had a brief spell with Dalian in China when Rafa Benitez was there. And of course, before that, the hero of Napoli. And what a career. At 34, you might question, is this to be his last major tournament? Well, maybe he's having a look at Sebastian Larsson and thinking, there is life in the legs yet. Here's Olsen. Back to his right-hand side and Lustig. Further down that line, Larsson and Lustig play 1-2. This back to Robin Olsen in the Swedish goal. He's not really played much football this season. It must be tough coming into a tournament. He's been Jordan Pickford's backup at Everton. And this ball ends right the way with the Slovakia back line, who tinker around with it. Touched over by Sapka to the right, and then Pekarik forward. They're on the attack, and Kutska has it. Big player for them today. Kutska crosses it to Mack on the left side of the Swedish penalty area. Mack dives in to face 2 Swedish shirts. He'll release it now for Hubachan. Hubachan manages to curl the cross in. Danielson heads it away for Sweden. Picking up and keeping the pressure on. Slovakia still have it. That ricochets to Mack again on the left side of the field. He's got it for Slovakia, who are showing great attitude and desire, and Max won a corner off Lustig. And all that was worth it for this set piece in the end.
Yeah, well, this is what we want to see more from Robert Mack. We all know that he's going to have 2 players around him. Lustig this time and Seb Larsson doubling up. But he tried the same thing when he got that goal from Szczesny off the post in the first game, tried to cut inside both players. This time it didn't really work out for him, but he has won inside this wide free kick or corner over there, so he's got to give himself the opportunities like that more often, because he has got the threat to do it.
Second corner for Slovakia, another outswinger by Marek Hamsik. That's a header to put it back into a dangerous area. Hubachan's there. The attempted volley comes in from Kucka, doesn't break through that Sweden wall. Kucka's so determined today. And this ball goes right back into the Slovakia half and played back by Peter Pekarik to his keeper. And Dubravka from outside his area sends it long right-footed. Onto the head of Danielson. Danielson's header picked up in the midfield by Horovsky. Now Slovakia going forward once more. Duda, Horovsky. Duda again, he's got licence to pretty much go wherever he wants, Duda. And then Crossfield, his pass drops to the feet of Mack. Hubachan's made the overlap on the left side of him, but Mack's looking to play it through the legs of the Swedish players, gives it to Duda. Nice little intricate passage of play, but they couldn't find that end pass, Slovakia, to make it count. Return to Dubravka at the other end of the field, so we've seen periods where Sweden have dominated, and in the last 10 minutes you'd say Slovakia have grown into themselves a bit more.
Yes, they have, because they're working the ball a lot quicker than what they have done in certain spells in the game. Trying to get the ball forward, they've got midfield runners. And again, you know, it's so hard. What we're looking for, Steve, is that final pass. I think that's what's basically letting these two sides down. Nice, intricate football, being a little bit patient in their play. You talked about the temperature of the game. It might have a burden on the game where they have to slow the game down at certain times because they're just getting themselves a little bit of a breather. But that final ball is always the hardest one. Trying to play in behind back lines or getting a wonderful ball into the box.
You can hear the thump of the drums. Football's so much better, isn't it, with supporters? And I think we've waited such a long time. This European Championship's been a great showcase for the return. Different venues about different capacities. As Slovakia put a ball into the box. Boy, Duda tried a backflick. Did he think he was bringing Mack into play? Well, he certainly wasn't trying to backflick that into goal. Not from that area. He was close to the penalty spot. I think he just felt that maybe Mack had run diagonally into the box, but he wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a lovely ball into the area, but Duda, you're just thinking to yourself, does he know how much time he's got? Yes, he's got 2 or 3 Swedish players around him waiting for him to take that first touch, but if it's a good first touch, he can pivot and get it onto his right foot, he can get his shot away, but tries a little flick, and I just don't think he was on the same wavelength as Mack because he just reacted to it a little bit too late.
Mentioned it at the start, Mickey, but Slovakia really struggle with the fact that they haven't got any obvious number 9s. Ivan Šranc is not available for this game. Michael Juris plays at Omnia Nicosia. It's not really in a prolific league, 57 caps, but his goal return is poor. They just haven't got a goal getter, Slovakia.
No, it's very hard for them, isn't it? I mean, you look at the 6 games before they actually came to the Euros, including the first one here. I think they're unbeaten in 6, but won 2 and drawn 4. So I think they do struggle for those goals, which has been a problem for them. And they're a rare commodity, you know, it's very difficult to find on occasions. You know, you maybe look at Mack and Hamsik, the 2 players that we built up before this game to maybe come up with some brilliance for them. But other than that, Skriniar, centre-half, coming up, scoring the goals of late 3 and 4, I think he's got. So they've got to work the ball really well, maybe looking at set pieces and corners. When you do get them, you have to make them count.
And they could well turn out to be a surprise package in the tournament, but their form over the last year hasn't really suggested that. Slovakia, it's slumped really. It's a transitional team that's only won 2 of its previous 13 matches in the 90 minutes. But that first game result against Poland has them on a sound footing and full of positive mental vibes, as has Sweden's draw with Spain. So here we go forward with Slovakia on the right-hand side. It's Steve Hothersall and the former England international Mickey Gray alongside me on Talksport 2, and we're watching Sweden 0, Slovakia 0 in Euro 2020. There's Duda, dropped into space once more in that pocket in the middle of the Swedish midfield. Now the run in field from the right-hand side comes from Pekarik. Slovakia move it over to the left for Hubachan. Hubachan gives it to Kucka. Still in possession, the white shirts. Mack has it. Kucka once more available. Short ball to Duda. Then Hamsik. It's out wide. There's a space opening up for Hubachan to cross it. He's turned Larsson and he gets that cross in, but he might have passed it through Larsson, but he couldn't make it past the next man, which was Lustig. They'll go again, will Slovakia, from the left wing. Hubachan once more. Hubachan rolls it to Juraj Kucka. Out wide to the right-hand side. Peter Pekarik. And Martin Koscielnik, who got the nod to start this game. Too many passes. And eventually soaked up by Sweden. And the Sweden clearance wasn't good enough for Augustinsson. He gets a chance for a shot on goal from Marek Hamsik. And his quality levels are far higher than that. He's put it a good 5-6 yards over the top of the crossbar. It dropped to him with time to try and keep it down. And as I say, nothing like the quality we expect from the Slovakia captain.
Look at Hamsik's reaction to that ball from Duda. It was a simple little pass to him, Stephen. I know what you're saying, he had a lot of time in his hands, but it's just bobbling in front of him. He had so much time just to put it on a plate for Hamsik where he could just wrap his right foot around it. You mentioned it there, nice build-up play. They were very patient. They're growing into this first half. I know we're coming to the end of it, but again, showing a little bit of confidence. Who's going to make this breakthrough? Two sides in front of us, very tense, waiting for that opportunity, but Hamsik, they're so frustrated because he knew if that was put on a plate for him, that was a chance for him to test Olsen in that Swedish goal.
Yeah, big moment for Marek Hamsik. And he's a man who's got 26 international goals from 126 appearances. Great opportunity to make it 27. And he just couldn't. Slovakia have never beaten Sweden, by the way. So there would be a little bit of history should they pull a result off today. Here's Mack. We're closing in on half-time. He cuts inside, trying to open up space past Larsson. Instead gives it to Hubachan. Lustig comes to close him down in the Swedish right-back position. Hubachan released the inverse ball to the run of Hamsik. Doesn't pay off. Sweden have it all covered off. And they manage to pass play up to the halfway line before losing it again. Slovakia come back at them. It's Duda, Slovakia's number 8, with that blonde hair. Played backwards towards the feet of Morovsky. Didn't do enough with it. Somehow, with the hard work of Martin Koscielnik, they've managed to keep possession of Slovakia. What do you make of the quality levels overall, Mickey?
I always talk about the final third because I think that's where we want to see the quality, and I think it's really been lacking from both teams. Isak has had a couple of occasions where he's been able to run at the back line, but Slovakia just getting everybody behind the ball. As a Sweden, it's basically a wall that they've got to try and break down. You get past the first 6 players, and then there's another 4 to try and break down. But I think the problem for Slovakia, certainly down this left-hand side, you talked about Hubachan and Mack. They're both right-footed players, so I think these Swedish guys know that they're going to chop back onto the right foot, and it just slows everything down too much.
Half-time whistle has gone. Well, what do they say about Sweden? Very workmanlike. And it's been a strange first half in many respects. Sweden dominated a large portion. Slovakia grew into it. Massive chance for maybe Marek Hamsik to do something with a shot on goal towards the end. But ultimately, quality lacking in the final third for both teams. So it won't surprise you at half-time on Talksport 2. It's Sweden 0, Slovakia 0. Thank you very much, Dan. And the second half is just on the way. We had a right chuckle between us when you mentioned you were going to play the first half highlights, because I showed Mickey Gray my sheet where I normally write how the passage of play has gone, and it was completely blank. It was certainly lacking quality the first half of the game. Cagey might be the best expression.
We had to remember what the one shot on target was, but it was that scuffed shot from Seb Larsson in the first half with his left foot. Took a little bit of a deflection, so let's hope we're going to get a little bit more in the second 45, Steve.
Yeah, do not let me put you off listening to us, because it can only get better from here. Spain, of course, were held to a goalless draw by Sweden, and Slovakia overcame Poland, so both teams have points on the board, and both teams surely with aspirations of winning. Here's an early opportunity for Alexander Isak. And a shot which has to be blocked out at the heart of the Slovakia defence by Milan Skriniar. Well, Isak's shot was powerful. The 6'4" man got his whole body through, but Skriniar came rushing across to divert it out for a corner.
Yeah, well, that's certainly better than what we've seen in the first 45 minutes from Sweden. I think it was a touch into Isak's path there. Wonderful strike heading towards goal, but what a challenge from Skriniar.
Corner from the right-hand side. Larsson takes it, headed out towards the edge of the area. Forsberg on the half volley, but a difficult quality to master. And although he's claiming, I think, that it might have come off the advancing Slovakia player, and it looks like it did from the replays, that Horovsky, it might have just come off his shirt. The referee didn't see it that way.
Yeah, hiding his blushes, I think, there. Forsberg, he didn't really get his laces on top of that ball at all. He's rightly so, it should have been a corner. Hasn't been given.
No changes in this second half. Sweden go with Olsen in goal, Lustig, Lindelof, Danielsson and Augustinsson as the back four. Four across midfield, Larsson, Olsen, Ekdal and Forsberg, and then Isak and Berg complete the 11. And for Slovakia, Dubravka in goal. The back four of Pekarik, Saka, Skriniar and Hubachan. Midfield two of Kutska and Horovsky. Koscielnik, Hamsik and Mack supporting the false nine of Duda. Our options on the bench, including on the Swedish bench, a couple of great talents. One of them, Dejan Kulusevski, who shows an awful lot of promise at Juventus. He might have to be thrown into things. 0-0 at the moment. Throw in for Sweden on the right. Larsson takes it on, tries to cross it in, wins the corner kick as he hits it off the body of Thomas Hubachan. And so another corner for Sweden. Two in succession in this second half. But can they make it pay?
Well, after hanging on for the last 5 or 6 minutes in the first 45 minutes, Sweden, they've come out in the second half, showed their intent. Isak with a half opportunity, great challenge from Skriniar, but again they're now getting themselves into better areas, got themselves a corner which, with the quality of Seb Larsson, should give you an opportunity.
Seb Larsson, corner from the right hand side, outswinger over the top of Isak, behind him Lindelof can't even get to that. Forsberg ends up retrieving things from the near side line, but plays only a backwards pass which will be returned by the left back Augustinsson to his keeper Robin Olsen for a first touch in the second half. As soon as we have team news from Hampden Park, where Croatia play the Czech Republic, we'll get across there and Alex Crook will bring us right up to date on things. 5 p.m. kick-off, full commentary on Talksport on that game, and then the biggie tonight, England-Scotland at Wembley. Slovakia press on the left. It's Robert Mack again. Sweden double up on him. Mack's got a bit of space to cross. He hits it against the legs of Larsson. Larsson saying what to the referee? He was trying to plead a case about something. Mack tried to cross it and has earned the corner kick.
Well, I like what Mack's just done there, Steve. Didn't really see this even in the first game that he played, trying to put ball into the area with his left foot. It just gets the full back and Seb Larsson thinking a little bit more of what he's going to do when he's on the ball.
So a corner from the left-hand side for Slovakia, headed across the face of the Swedish goal and drops into the path of Kutska. They're applying the pressure, Slovakia. Maybe an opportunity for Duda! And he shoots from the edge of the penalty area. And it's a bullet of a shot which rises all the time and eventually goes over the top of Robin Olsen's crossbar.
Well, it's centre forward against centre forward. Duda for Slovakia picking up the ball, just chopping by Marcus Berg. Makes the space for himself, but when you get yourself into that area, get your head over the ball, get your laces through it, keep it down, ask the questions of Olsen in that Swedish goal. But he just lets him off the hook. He's got too much height on it. Not enough pace on it to cause any problems to the goalkeeper, and that was their first opportunity in this second half.
That's the voice of former England international Mickey Gray, who thought this game would be the ideal warm-up ahead of England-Scotland tonight. He's very excited about that one. So far this hasn't got the temperatures burning, but goalless it is as Pekarik tries to send that ball long upfield, and it's charged down by Forsberg. I know it's easy to say now, but this looks like the sort of game that Zlatan Ibrahimovic is sort of missing from. He would have made the difference for Sweden.
Well, you're looking for a little bit of magic. I mean, Isak you're probably looking at thinking, right, if there's going to be some magic moment in this game, it's going to come from him, because he's got such great ability, but he's been starved of service at the moment. He's had that half opportunity in this second 45 minutes, but yeah, it's a Zlatan moment, isn't it? A ball coming in from wide areas, making a nuisance of himself, just scoring a wonder goal and just setting this game alight, because at the moment, it's very damp, Steve, isn't it? A lot of possession, but the possession's in the wrong areas. I think two sides have got to look at that and think to themselves, well, look, if we're going to come away from this stadium with all 3 points, we've got to try and express ourselves a little bit more than what we have done, because it's very flat.
Olsen. Ball for Sweden, which gets them on the front foot. Isak takes it over. That's a lovely pass, and it brings it to the left side of the Slovakia penalty area. The eventual ball across goal by Augustinsson was diverted clear by Slovakia. Well, everything looked right in the build-up there, and even Isak's pass out to Augustinsson had Sweden very much pressing, but eventually when he tried to play that ball back to Berg, who's been starved of anything in this game, it never found the intended man. Forsberg for Sweden. Isak, he's played that ball infield, very central. Forsberg chips it over. It's Isak. Oh, it was just a yard too far from him. He thought about swinging a boot. Instead, he's run it to the corner flag. Skriniar's trying to stop him getting anywhere, and he does just that, the Inter Milan man. And Slovakia back in possession of things, and they pass their way clear to the left flank.
They're certainly finding a lot more space now in those final third areas, Sweden, and it's coming through Isak. And again, Daniel Siebert, the referee, actually could have pulled that back because there was a foul in the build-up. Isak just worked it over to this left-hand side. I do like Augustinsson over on this left-hand side. His energy levels are absolutely fantastic. He's getting into some good areas. They just need to pick him out a little bit more, because he's got the quality with that left foot, just trying to pick somebody out in that 6-yard area rather than just fizzing that ball across the 6-yard box and hoping that one of your teammates are going to try and just get on the end of something.
No changes made by either coach so far. They've got things up their sleeve, but 0-0. This one being played out in St. Petersburg. Most of the games that we've seen in Euro 2020 so far have had a tint and edge, more than an edge of drama to them. As yet, this one hasn't quite unfolded. Ball over to Huvachan on the left wing. Flights one upfield, good 60-yard pass, and a chase from Robert Mack. He's pushing into the back of Lindelof. Lindelof, quite experienced, manages to see that over the dead ball line.
Good defending there from Lindelof. We talked about in a 1v1 situation. Normally in a foot race, if you're thinking about a fast centre forward, you'd probably go with the forward player, but good defending there, just shielded out for a goal kick.
Lindelof, a player who finished the season with United in that defeat in the Europa League final. Maybe an indifferent season overall if you ask United fans on some performances from him, but definitely at home in the Swedish shirt. Here's Slovakia with play. They're in their all-white kits. Sweden in the yellow tops, yellow socks and blue shorts. And that's a foul on Duda. And Slovakia win a free kick, and Ekdal was the man accused of doing it from behind. He just clipped him. Duda's going to be okay. He's just got that right foot tangled with Duda's left. Slovakia start again. Pressed over to the left-hand side for Huvachan. Robert Mack asking for it. Infield might be the passenger play instead. Horovsky picking up his 38th cap. Then over to the right-hand side for Peter Pekarik. Pekarik, long ball now by Slovakia, mixing things up. There's a high jump from Kucka. Sweden all over it, just sending it back to their keeper Robin Olsen. Sweden play this correctly. They should really dominate, perhaps in certain passages of play like they did in the first half. Well, Slovakia back on it, and they're coming through the middle of the park, and with possession is Kucka. Gets involved in a collision which sees a Swedish player goes down. Referee allows play to continue. It's the 6 Euros in succession for Sweden. They're 18th in the FIFA rankings, and there's an awful lot expected of them from those watching back at home in Sweden. Of course, they got to the 2018 World Cup quarter-final. That certainly set the bar high. Here's Forsberg to Isak. Forsberg again, edge of the penalty area, and all the time he's looking for a link man is Forsberg. and can't find an eventual pass because there's no one with him.
Yeah, well, I think that's a nice little give and go there with Isak. Just didn't have that burst of pace to get him behind, but better play. You can see the more quality of play that Sweden have, and we're talking about Forsberg and Alexander Isak, and now getting involved in the game a little bit more. And also from the Slovakia side, Kuška is the one. He's been their best player by a country mile. You know, very early on in the game he was making those great runs into the 18-yard box, got on the end of a couple of nice little through balls. But I think that's what we're now looking at, the more star players from both nations to get on the ball a little bit more, just to try and make something happen, that little bit of quality. And the more this game goes on, I'm sure, as the players you mentioned before, Steve, from the bench, it's probably a matter of time before these two sides make changes.
Well, if Slovakia wants a goal-scoring threat, Robert Bosnić is available on the bench. He's their number 9. He might be called upon at some point. He plays for Feyenoord, but he's only 21 years old, and he only has 6 international appearances to his name. He did get 3 goals in qualifying, though, so he might be an option for them. But if I tell you that his last international goal came against Azerbaijan in November 2019, that maybe is why he isn't starting this game. But I mentioned for Sweden, Dejan Kulusevski was a terrific young player who I'm sure will have an involvement at some point. Missed the first round of fixtures because he had a positive COVID test, but he's got the green light to play should the manager Jan Andersson want to use it. There's Hamsik, free kick into the area, chance for Slovakia, and it's that man Kucka who gets his head on it, and for the first time in the game Robin Olsen has to pull out a big save. And wow, he's had a long time to wait to be called into proper action. But the header from Kucka as he drove in from the right hand side and got round the back of Ekdal brought out a fine save from Olsen.
What a ball into the area. I think it's been pulled back, Steve, actually for an offside, but Olsen in that Swedish goal is not to know that. Kucka just breaks to that edge of that 6-yard area, he tries to head it across goal, and Olsen just stretches out that right arm and just saves that one, bangs it over the top of the crossbar. But again, you know, we talk the importance of set pieces. If Kucka gets himself into that area, we've seen he's an aerial threat, there's no doubt about that. Nice header, does everything right, hits the target, goes across the goalkeeper Olsen, but what an outstanding save.
Well, a bit of drama. The game came to life for a moment or two, but it remains goalless between Sweden and Slovakia. And the other game in this group will take place tomorrow night, Poland against Spain in Seville, 8 p.m. kickoff. Sweden cross from the right-hand side, and that's a header on goal by Sweden's number 6, Ludwig Augustinsson. And at the Slovakia end produces a big save from Dubravka. Augustinsson towered over Koscielny, bulleted a header, and that's a one-handed save from Dubravka, and he shows a bit of quality.
Well, this game is certainly opening up now. There's more gaps appearing. Fantastic ball into the area. Seb Larsson over on that right-hand side. And Augustinsson, the fullback, as we talked about, loves getting forward. When he gets into the area, gets in between defenders, heads it towards goal. What a save, Dubravka. Absolutely fantastic. Across to his left-hand side. It looks as if he has to change direction. That's the Newcastle goalkeeper for you. When you're in goal for them, you have to make a lot of saves.
2 big headers, 2 big saves in the last minute. Here's another corner. Isak heads it towards Danielsson, who had to turn and try and flick the header from maybe 6 yards out goalwards, and he's put that over the top of Dubravka's crossbar. He's acted really well to put it back into a dangerous area, but Danielsson, it was asking a lot of him, and he couldn't find the target.
Well, I mean, we've been waiting for that quality from corners, wide free kicks. Seb Larsson with the quality that he's got with that right foot, and again, it's Isak. Springs higher than anybody else at that back stick, just puts it into an area. I don't think he's really aiming for the goal, he doesn't get enough power and leverage on it. But Danielsson, as he just tries to flick his head round to the right hand side, he's got to try and keep that down. Difficult, I know, he's got bodies around him, but they're now starting to commit bodies forward, certainly from these wide corners, free kicks, giving themselves better opportunities. And he said before, the game is now starting to open up. He's got 2 sides of him in front of us now, thinking we've got to try and go and win this football match.
15 minutes played of the second half. Victor Claesson is getting warmed up on the touchline, so Jan Andersson ready to deploy fresh legs, fresh ideas into this Sweden side. They almost took the lead Is Lindelof probing forward with the help of Forsberg. Now from distance, Isak! And he drives the ball low. And this time it skims to the left of the Slovakian goal. He saw it open up. He got a deflection on the way off Skriniar, in fact. It came off his backside, and that just took it away from goal.
Well, they've got a little bit of a battle going on, these two, haven't they? Skriniar and Isak. That's a couple of deflections from Skriniar. Fantastic defending, making his body as big as he possibly can. But now you've got Isak, who's now been able to get himself turned rather than have defenders up against his back.
Forsberg with the corner to the far post. Doesn't quite reach Isak and is headed away by Hubachan. It'll go out for a throw-in. So Victor Claesson continues to wait to be brought on. He'll probably enter the field on the right side of play, but I wouldn't imagine they'll take... Well, I could be wrong. I wouldn't imagine they'll take Larsson off.
You may be thinking about his age. I know he's been with his quality. You might think, he might just need a little bit of a breather. Second game in, freshen it up a little bit.
Sweden throw. The yellow and blue flag to dawn behind that goal. The Slovakia are defending. They're throwing into the penalty area. It's hooked clear by Duda, but only to be picked up by Sweden once more. Through the centre, it's sent by Augustinsson. A long ball into the penalty area. Danielsson's there. Opportunity for Larsson. He's just on the right of the 6-yard box. Hubachan with a heavy challenge on him. And the referee's telling everyone to just calm down somewhat. He's gone to Skriniar. In fact, he's got a little bit angry with Skriniar now. I think he's actually given Slovakia the free kick in their own penalty area, but he's just telling this big player for Slovakia, keep your head. I think the refereeing overall in the championships has been pretty decent so far.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's obviously the referees just had to let that play run out a little bit there, but you can see that challenge there from Danielsson. His foot's obviously a little bit too high. I thought the referee should have blew his whistle there and then. It does fall to Seb Larsson, who can't eventually get his ball back into the area, but you can understand the frustration from the Slovakian players going up to the referee. Seibert just had a word with him and said, look, I need to let this finish off, see what ends up. It'll always get pulled back. We can always go back and revert to VAR if we need to. I think that's the first time we've actually mentioned this in this game, Stephen. I can't believe it was me.
That's not a bad thing, is it? Don't talk about it too much, Mickey. Victor Claesson has come on to replace Christopher Olsen. So the central midfielder has been replaced. And Robin Quaison, a striking option, has replaced Marcus Berg, who really has been a bystander in proceedings today. But that has to be said about quite a few players.
Yeah, it certainly does. Freshen it up a little bit. Forward player coming on, Quaison and Claesson. I said it before this game started, I was surprised not to see him in the starting 11, but it gives these two players their opportunity that they've been waiting for.
Quaison, who's a Mainz player, he was the top scorer in qualifying with 5 goals. And I think we've just had a substitution for Slovakia as well, and Haraslin, who started the first game on the right-hand side, is having an involvement for Slovakia. So he's picked up that role on the right as well. So Haraslin now into play for Slovakia. Goalless it still remains. That ball comes off Danielsson's chest, and the 24 for Sweden trying to keep possession, uses Forsberg in front of him. Back he comes to Augustinsson. Sweden with possession. It's Talksport 2. Sweden 0, Slovakia 0. There's a whole host of other offerings today. We'll have team news for you from Hampden Park as Croatia face the Czech Republic at a 5 p.m. kickoff. Jim White's presenting it. Alex Crook and Chris Uwilumo are bringing you the commentary. Alex will have that team news as soon as he gets sight of it. 8 p.m. England-Scotland, 2 choices. Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce, Sol Campbell bringing you the commentary on Talksport. A real Scotland-biased focus with Shaban, Andy Barr and Paul Dickoff on Talksport 2. And as we head into the weekend, Hungary-France promises to be an attractive one at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Portugal-Germany from 5 p.m. The stakes are up to even higher. Adrian Durham lucky enough to be at that one. Ian Danton with the commentary and Trevor Sinclair. And Spain-Poland finishes off your Saturday. And maybe you're still awake after all that. Well, what a weekend for the golf and the US Open. Mickey was up till 2:30 last night, had the matchsticks propping up his eyes. The TV was almost on burnout.
Oh, mate. It's a sport. Golf, football, Formula 1, you name it, I'm across it. Absolutely love it.
The ball is played forward by Slovakia down the right-hand side. Sweden, though, get a foot on things. Up to Isak. Isak tries the quick return pass for Quaison. Bounces off Slovakia legs and comes back into the Sweden half. Sweden to Forsberg. 66 minutes played. Isak to Augustinsson. Mickey's mentioned him. He loves to raid forward down the left-hand side. Augustinsson. You'd barely think he was a left-back at times. As Larsson puts it to the right. Lustig lifts it into the area. There's Isak with a header over the top of the crossbar. Number of headed chances in this game. He can't quite believe it. He rolls his eyes to the back of his head. Isak thought he had the better of the defender at that moment in time, and he pretty much did. I think it was over the top of Saka, the Slovakian defender. He just couldn't get it on target.
Just seeing that ball coming into the area from Lustig, as he's played that ball in, I'm thinking it's too high, there's not enough pace on it. The centre forward Isak is going to have to do something about it. Well, he certainly does that. He's up alongside Saka, he wants some more, he's got the leap on him, he just tries to guide it into that top left-hand corner. He gets a head on it, but again, he just cannot keep it below the crossbar. But again, these Swedish players are now getting into very good areas, and their quality into the box has certainly been a lot better than what it was in that first 45 minutes. They look a real threat going forward. They've made a couple of changes. Quaison and Klassen have came onto the field just to freshen things up as well. Obviously Slovakia have made that change themselves in that right back area, Steve, which really surprised me. Patrick going off for Harashlin, who's came onto the field. Thought they would have gone for somebody more forward thinking.
Well, they've got a win under their belt already, Slovakia, from game one. I mentioned it at the start, a draw for either of these sides is not necessarily a bad thing. It's rare that for most of the second games for teams in the competition, because you're already thinking about maybe securing qualification or putting an important 3 points on the board. But a point for either today. It's not do or die. But
I always think it's a worry though. I would love to get the points on the board very early. I mean, you look at the two games that they've got left after this one in front of us, Steve. Slovakia have got to play Spain, and obviously Sweden have got to play against Poland. Now, Lewandowski's going to have his moment in this tournament. You wouldn't want to be going into that game playing against one of the best centre forwards, if not the best centre forward in world football right now.
And I don't think Spain will let anyone else off the hook in the way that Sweden somehow survived.
I mean, you talk about Morata maybe starting in the games, but Moreno looked a real threat when he was on the field. So they're going to get chances. The possession that they keep in games, Spain, they will cause this Slovakian team problems. You can get everybody behind the ball, but they just unlock pockets.
I'll stick my neck out and say if Sweden are to score a goal in this game, it'll be from a header. But then I'll further stick it out and say I don't think there'll be a goal in the game, judging how it's played out. This Slovakia coming down the right-hand side with Juris. So they have made changes and are looking to get something out of the game. Razlin coming on for Pekarik in the second half. We're seeing the possession stats come up on the screen. 58% possession for Slovakia, 42 for Sweden. But here's Sweden with the ball pushed over to the right-hand side for Lustig. Now taken into the midfield and then played backwards to Danielsson. Danielsson uses Victor Lindelof. Forsberg with the hair held back with the hairband, the blonde locks. But then they've lost possession. Marek Hamsik, who's still going, still very much the man at the heart of the Slovakia side, starting this forward movement. They're going through the centre with the number 13, Horovsky. Now Hamsik again. Hamsik turning it onto the left foot. Uses Duda. Play back to Horovsky. Still with Slovakia. Quick ball from Hamsik to Duda. And then once again soaked up by that present line of around 6 Swedish players. Augustinsson given a chance to run round the back of Duda. Releases the ball to Isak before being fouled. Isak's still going. Great quick feet for such a tall man. And even as there's an attempt by Kucka to chop him down, Isak's still going. It's still Isak! Oh, he's got a shot on goal, which is saved at the near post by Dubravka. Nearly one of the moments of the tournament. He's got a giant beaming smile across his face, Isak. How he evaded at least 3 or 4 tackles, goodness knows. But by the time he got into the box and released the shot, we saw his true quality then. The run almost deserved a goal, but Dubravka kept Isak at bay.
Well, we've seen some incredible goals in this tournament so far, but I think we would have been talking about one of the goals of the tournament from Isak there. Absolutely fantastic. Picks up the ball in his own half. He just pushes away Kucka, who's been Slovakia's best player in my eyes. Haraslin, who's came onto the field, he then skips by him. He gets himself just to the edge of the 18-yard area. He can get his strike away with that right foot. And Robert Olsen pulls off a super save in the end, but he's getting close to Isak. That's 3 little looks at goal in this second 45 minutes. What a talented player he is for 21 years old.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff from the young Swedish man. And Martin Dubravka just about up to things. And then I wonder whether when he started the run, Dubravka thought in the next 6-7 seconds we're going to be facing this guy.
Absolutely. Sorry, I said Olsen, I meant Dubravka. But yeah, super save over to his right hand side. Fantastic save from him. He's had to make a couple in this second 45 minutes. But that's what we want to see. Your star players showing us exactly what talent they've got. Isak in the second 45 minutes, how many times has he got into those little pockets of space where he can show us the ability that he's got?
Well, I think he realises this is the stage to shine on. He's got 17 goals in 34 La Liga appearances. He's Sweden's youngest ever scorer. Scored at the age of 17 in a friendly against Slovakia, funnily enough. And most definitely he's got a bit between his teeth, Isak. He's got Robin Quaison playing alongside him in this second half. Might slightly have changed the dynamic for him, but he almost did that all on his own, that moment. That was the greatness about it.
He plays with no fear, Steve. I think that's when you look at somebody like Alexander Isak. He loves playing football. You can sense that whenever the ball's coming around, he wants to show people the ability that he's got. When he gets the chance to run at defenders, he never lets anybody down. But no, for such a young age, pushing players off the ball, chopping it from his left to his right foot, not frightened to take strikes on. And that just shows, his teammates have got full confidence in him.
Sweden were about to make a substitution then, and Pierre Bengtsson, who's a left-back really, was about to come on, although I see no reason why you take Augustinsson off, or Forsberg, who's playing in front of him.
Unless they push him a little bit further forward, Augustinsson, because, he has been a real threat on that left-hand side.
And Forsberg does roam as well, doesn't he? Goalless though, Sweden 0, Slovakia 0. Much better second half. Couldn't have been worse than the first half, could it, Mickey Gray, who's alongside me. I'm Steve Hothersall. It's Talksport 2, Sweden 0, Slovakia 0. The first of 3 live commentaries on the Talksport network today. Ekdal making himself available, but Lindelof instead uses Danielsson, who's maybe 30-35 yards from goal. Play back to Lindelof again, and now Isak. He'll watch that again tonight, will Alexander Isak, and think of how he nearly scored the goal of the tournament. Here's Forsberg. There might be some argument that maybe the Czech Republic's goal against Scotland would top it, but I don't know. A different sort of goal altogether. Here's Danielsson, back to Lindelof. And Lindelof once more. Quaison made a run, but Lindelof didn't opt to use him. He's gone for Larsson instead on the right-hand side. Sweden move all of a sudden up in motion. Quaison's gone through and the keeper's taken him down, and the referee points to the spot, and it's a Sweden penalty kick. Well, Robin Quaison, the substitute in the right place to pick up that ball and really put Dubravka in 2 minds. Dubravka gets the yellow card. There wasn't a hesitation from our referee. It's a Sweden penalty kick, and Dubravka is the culprit.
And who's involved? Alexander Isak, yet again with a through ball. I don't think he actually intends to play this to Quaison, but the determination, the desire to get there before the Slovakian backline is absolutely outstanding. He just gets that left foot in front of Dubravka. He gets it away from him. No doubt in my mind it's a penalty. He's not offside. He runs in behind the defenders. I'm not too sure who's going to take this. It looks like Forsberg is the one who's stepping up to take this. Huge experience behind him, obviously. Leipzig player, but what an opportunity. Sweden have been the better side in the second half, no question about that. They've got to try and capitalise on that and got to finish off this penalty decision.
Seen a number of penalties missed in the championships so far, including one yesterday in the North Macedonia against Ukraine game. Alioski had a penalty save, he followed it up. Our referee Daniel Siebert is having a talk with Dubravka. Before every penalty in the championships, they tell the keeper to stay on the line. They're strict on this one. Sweden with a penalty kick against Slovakia to finally make a breakthrough in the game. It's Emil Forsberg. He tucks it into the right corner, and the blue and yellow finally announced themselves at the European Championships with a goal from Emil Forsberg from the spot. It's Sweden 1, Slovakia 0.
Well, that certainly mixes up this Group E, doesn't it? Forsberg, super penalty. Dubravka, he goes the right way, just can't get across to his left-hand side. Too much pace on that from Forsberg, runs across to his supporters. Outstanding penalty finish, but it was all made by that great through ball from Isak. And again, when he got the opportunity with that right foot, you can just see as he's running up to that penalty there, it's right in the corner. They always say try and hit the side netting, and that's exactly what he's done there. But they've been the better side in the second 45 minutes, no question about that. Probably deserved to be in front. It took the game to Slovakia, and at the moment, Steve, as it stands, they're going to go top of Group E before the other game is played.
13 minutes left to play in the game. Full of confidence, that penalty. We saw Gareth Bale change his mind at the last minute, when he took one for Wales and, of course, skied it in their game just a couple of days ago. But there was no shadow of a doubt in Emil Forsberg's mind that he was going to miss that. His 10th goal in international colours in 59 appearances. RB Leipzig player who's been to the top. We then got to the Champions League semi-finals in 2019-20. And runners up to Bayern Munich, of course, in the league. And Sweden are in front, and they deserve it.
Well, yeah, they absolutely deserve it, yeah. And when you look at it, this game, the way it's panned out, you're thinking if anybody can get a goal, they can probably see out the 90-95 minutes, and that's probably going to be the case. You see these Swedish players, everybody behind the ball. They're not going to give Slovakia any opportunities. Whenever they get the chance, anywhere near the ball, they just clear the lines, everybody behind the ball, make it so difficult for Slovakia to now break them down.
It's Duda for Slovakia, floats the ball into the penalty area. Haraslin on as a substitute, lays it back behind him. That cross in towards the far post will be left by Robin Olsen. Martin Koscielny who tried to chip it into the danger area, but Robin Olsen had it covered. There was no one following up on that for Slovakia on the far side. And out it goes. So we have a goal. We have a different dynamic to the group. And it makes things interesting. Laszlo Beniz is coming on for Slovakia. So they've immediately employed a change, with their manager knowing something really needs to be done. The Falcons, their nickname, Slovakia. They were given that by the Slovakian FA 5 years ago. It represents speed, acumen and savagery. Well, they need a bit of that now. They have 10 minutes to try and dig themselves out of a little bit of a rut, because Sweden are in charge, and that penalty has them currently occupying the 3 points. It's Talksport 2. Ondrej Duda for Slovakia gets a yellow card. We mentioned it before, with most of the refereeing, it's been done perfectly and everything's allowed to sail on quite quickly.
Yeah, I think he's had to try and do that, Daniel Siebert, because he's probably like us, Steve. He was a little bit frustrated in watching the game. He tried to make the flow of it so people can enjoy it, and certainly the players can. I think apart from the first 5 minutes, there's not really been that physical, to be honest with you, but it's certainly sprung to life in this second 45 minutes. Two sides that were probably looking at things maybe from set pieces, wide free kicks or a penalty, as we've just had that first goal. But it's so important in competitions like this to win or get that first all-important goal in games like this.
Haraslin involved there before Duda got nicked on the ankles. So just to update you once more on the substitutions that have been taking place. Robert Mack was replaced by Vladimir Weiss for Slovakia. So a few cards being thrown down by Slovakia to try and influence the outcome of this one. And the ball's pushed forward by Horovsky and out wide to the left-hand side. Huberchan involved and played through Saka. I think the nation of Sweden will have far more enjoyed today as Alexander Isak breaks through to the edge of the penalty area. It's Isak, the big number 11. The ball's drifted away from him, but the shot eventually comes in. And who took it? I'm not sure. I can't quite see. Isak thought he had the goal at his mercy. He then was faced up against two Slovakian players. One of them was Skriniar. It's eventually dropped to Victor Claesson, and his shot deflected out for a corner.
It's Isak again. I mean, he's got so much ability, flicking it over experienced defenders' bodies, and then he comes up against Skriniar yet again.
Sweden corner, across the face of goal. Headed clear by Saka. Sweden try and push it into the mix once more. Drops outside of the box to Lindelof. He's on the right-hand side. And curled into the penalty area. Up goes Claesson, who won the penalty kick. But as Mickey so rightly says, with a massive portion of help from Alexander Isak. And Sweden then played over to the right-hand side. Lustig nearly got into position, but Huberchan wins it ahead of him. Slovakia just a goal down, but momentum is still very much with the yellow and blue of Sweden. Yeah, I was saying before, I think the Swedish supporters would have far more enjoyed this second half than the 90 against Spain, which they'd have been forced to say they would have enjoyed afterwards, or even the first half of this match. All of a sudden, we've seen something a bit dynamic from them.
They've sprung to life, haven't they? We were hoping that Isak was going to get on the ball a lot more, and they've certainly done that. He's such a threat. I mean, we talked, didn't we, how many clubs, and we're probably talking Premier League sides here, at such a young age. I mean, what a talent he could be.
Well, Sweden having to defend for a moment as Koscielny has it. Plays the ball behind him to Vladimir Weiss. Then Haraslin, he's inside the Sweden penalty area, back to Weiss. Weiss wanted two touches, he didn't have time for that, and all of a sudden he was blocked out. It felt like there was a bit of a crescendo to that move, but it never quite happened.
Oh, you're completely right, Steve. I think it's actually been pulled back for an offside, but Weiss, as that ball's just played back to him, hit it first time. You're not to know that you're offside on that occasion. He's got himself to the edge of the 18-yard box. Just get your laces through it with your right foot. You're trying to get that equalising goal, taking touches in the opposition's 18-yard box. You're going to get closed down. We know what these Swedish defenders like to do. Bodies on the line. If you get half a yard, get your strike away.
Well, a change now being made with Michael Juris coming on and replacing Horovsky. So Juris is meant to be someone who could assist in goals, but he hasn't got a really good goals to game ratio for his country. Just 7 in 56 appearances. A man who broke Northern Irish hearts, of course. Change made by Slovakia again. And Sweden go forward with Isak to Forsberg. Forsberg back heels it. Oh, lovely. Audacious gets it down the line for Augustinsson. Great post control from him. Curls the cross into the box. No one there for Sweden. Everything was working down that left channel, but no one in the box when needed.
Just wondering now where they think to themselves, well, we can't commit too many bodies forward. Yes, in a normal circumstances you would try and go and chase down that second goal. If it does come, then brilliant for Sweden. If it doesn't, what is the point in trying to put 4 and 5 bodies in the area? Because if you do lose the ball, that gives Slovakia the opportunity to try and counter-attack, to try and get themselves back into this game. But we haven't really seen too much great quality from Slovakia in the second 45 minutes. I know they went on and won that first game, but obviously circumstances changed in that. Poland found themselves down to 10 men, which was where they got that second and all-important goal. But have they got enough to get through to those knockout stages? When you think about the final game that they've got coming up against Spain, I very much doubt it if Sweden can hang on to this.
That's the thoughts of former England international Mickey Gray, alongside myself, Steve Hothersall, on Talksport 2. And we've had a little bit of a second half to savour after a first half that had dust rolling across the pitch. But Slovakia looking for a way back into things. Koscielnik from the right side, low ball in, lovely delivery, couldn't quite finish it off, Slovakia. Well, Koscielnik finding the perfect pass in then to the right side of the Sweden penalty area, but Danielsson was up to the challenge and he put Laszlo Benez off things.
Yeah, again, Koscielnik over this right hand side. Was it the cross he was trying to actually play in there along the ground? Didn't have too many players to kind of pick out, but again, getting into a very good area on this right hand side, found some space. Not found too much of that in the second 45 minutes.
Duda's taken the corner off Benez. He does an outswing. Oh, it's dropped. It's possibly a big moment for Slovakia. Sweden can't clear it, and eventually they do. And there's a foul which will bring down Victor Claesson, which will stem play for a moment or two. Well, Slovakian heads rising then. They were sniffing a possibility. Vladimir Weiss has ended up with a yellow card for bringing down Claesson. Cynical, because Claesson was breaking clear. But initially when that corner was put in there, it was headed down by David Hanko, who's another of the substitutes who's come on. He's replaced Thomas Huberchan. And a little bit of drama.
There was a little bit of panic stations at the back there from Sweden. 2 or 3 defenders found themselves on the ground trying to clear their lines, couldn't get it out. Seb Larsson tried with his left foot, gets put back into the area. But again, when you need that little bit of good fortune, that half a yard, just for it to fall kindly to one of your players in the 18-yard box from a set piece, that's what you need, that little bit of good fortune. But all this defending, putting your bodies on the line, as these Sweden defenders we've seen in that first game against Spain, they've certainly done that in this afternoon's game, the second game, got themselves in front. They want to hang on to this 1-goal lead if they possibly can.
Another substitution is Sweden this time, and they've replaced Egdal, the midfielder, with Gustav Svensson, who plays his football with Guangzhou City in China. But he's obviously well trusted by his coach. And we're underway once more, and the clock is very much ticking against Slovakia. 2 minutes of normal time to play. Sweden with the 1-goal advantage in the first of today's Euro 2020 games on Talksport. It's Isak waiting for it off Quaison. Quaison gives it to him. Then Isak runs it too far ahead of himself. Sweden still trying to grab that all-important second that would completely lift the pressure off their shoulders. It's ended up with Slovakia possession, and Vladimir Weiss drifting into the centre circle with play. Past Kutska, gives it to Duda, and out to Haraslin on the right side. It's with Weiss once more. Moves away from Forsberg. But that's decent from Sweden. Just managed to intercept the danger and set Forsberg off with a run down the left channel. And Forsberg ever present and always causing a little bit of mischief. And in the end, I think he's accused of a foul, is Forsberg, and replays would show, well, he didn't quite get on his back for a piggyback, but he was almost there.
Well, it's a clever foul, Steve. Near the halfway line, running out of time. I think we're in the final minute of the 90, and it's experience. Running the ball from your edge of your own 18-yard area into the opposition's half, ticking down this time. But whenever there's been an avenue for Slovakia to go down, it is sharp blocked out by these Swedish players. They just cut it off at force. They clear their lines. They all get themselves back into positions, and that's the way the game has panned out for them. No real clean-cut opportunities with this Slovakian team. And we're waiting for that one bit of brilliance, the lovely little through ball from Isak, and eventually the penalty came and slotted away by Forsberg, and he's going to be the Swedish superstar if he picks up 3 points today, along with Isak, who's been just incredible, certainly in the second half.
5 minutes to play. That's probably for all the substitutions. As one of the key players for Slovakia, Kutska, particularly in the first half, spread a diagonal ball which puts it into Weiss's possession. He's tripped over the ball there, and then Isak starts to run with it from the halfway line. Oh, how I think we all wish he scored before on that run. It didn't come off. Now maybe a chance down the left. Ball into the Slovakia penalty area. It was put in there by the number 5, Pierre Benson. He's helped out now on that flank by Forsberg. Benson once more, just pushed into the corner flag by Haraslin. Now Sweden offering the attacking threat here. But they literally were trying to see some seconds out by dampening down play in that corner flag. And the referee has awarded the free kick for Slovakia, so they'll have to bring it from their own end of the pitch.
And again, another nice little break down the left-hand side from Augustinsson. I've been really impressed with him. I think he's been fantastic. His energy levels have been superb. Werder Bremen player, 27 years old. I think there'll be quite a few people, a few clubs will be certainly looking at him, because that's what you want now. You want overlapping or attacking full-backs. And he's very impressive.
Well, Benson's the man who's playing left-back now. Came on. He was a late call-up to the squad to replace Martin Olsson. First time he's appeared at a major tournament. So the big question now, there possibly will be one more opportunity for Slovakia with 2 minutes into added on time, 2 out of 5. They've got a corner, Duda takes it. Can Sweden see them off? Well, just about there, as that clattering header coming from the figure of Juras Kutska thumps over the top of the bar, and Slovakia claiming a corner, saying it's come off Victor Lindelof. And Sweden saying surely it didn't. Replays would show it possibly did, but oh no, I think we're seeing a different angle there, and that implies that is a goal kick.
Well, so, certainly a case for another corner, another substitution happening here as well, Steve. How many have there been? But Kuška has been Slovakia's best player, hasn't he? You know, streets ahead of everybody else. He looks brave when he gets into the edge of the 18-yard box. He's made some really nice runs. Doesn't really deserve to be on a losing side today, but football works in these circles, doesn't it?
Forsberg has been a terrific player for Sweden, particularly in the second half, and has scored the goal that is the difference. Comes off now and is replaced by Emil Kraft, the Newcastle man, who was expected to actually start at right back because Lustig was injured in that first game, but he came through the treatment. But Kraft is on now, and further solidity to an already defensively tough Swedish side. And I said before, this would be a 6th clean sheet in 7 games if they could deny Slovakia. And the ball's headed away by Lindelof. The shot is parried down, and that shot came from David Hanko. Slovakia will get a throw-in on the left-hand side of the Swedish penalty area.
Well, I think Sweden might not be the prettiest side in these European Championships, but as you mentioned there, Steve, about clean sheets and how hard they work for each other, they are going to take some breaking down, and it's going to take some real quality to beat this team.
And we've just seen a ball flighted across the Sweden penalty area, which will result in another corner kick. Slovakia are holding on for a crescendo. A moment that would lift Slovakian hearts and drop Swedish heads. The corner from the right, the header's not quite good enough. Olsson comes up, he doesn't want to catch, he punches instead. He's kept the ball alive for Slovakia. Haraslin puts it into the penalty area, and it's broken out wide to the right side for Laszlo Benez. Benez's crossing is headed away by Lindelof, and that last hurrah produced nothing for Slovakia.
Well, I didn't think I would ever say this, but Dubravka actually came up for the corner, and Koscielny took the ball away from his head. He had a free header towards goal.
Haraslin, now a shot from Weiss. Again, they can't break down Sweden. Sorry, Mickey.
It's a defensive masterclass. It really is, of getting everybody behind the ball. So hard to break down.
Slovakia might have one just last chance, but that shot from distance goes over the top of the crossbar and doesn't result in anything. And you would presume that it's all done and dusted. If you're looking for a top performance from the Slovakian players, it's Juras Kutska, who's been streets ahead. Mickey said it a couple of times. There's a number of players in the Sweden side who've stood out, including Alexander Isak, that really caught our eye. And we're looking at a Sweden goal kick now as the final seconds tick out on this. 95 minutes gone. That was a potential penalty check on VAR, which the referee's now waved away. The check is over, and we're heading to the end of the first game of the day. Referee looks at his watch. Sweden with a goal kick. Header on down the left channel. Robin Quaison alive to it, but can't get to it first. Throwing back to the keeper, Dubravka. didn't quite notice Isak on his shoulder, but has somehow escaped the danger. And Slovakia, a long lunging ball clear. Haraslin heads it down. There's no one on the end of it. And despite a gutsy final few minutes, this will end with 3 points for Sweden. Put back into play by Slovakia. The crossfield ball is only cut into the body of Sweden players. And it's Sweden 1, Slovakia 0. Jan Andersson's Sweden know how to grind a result out, and they've done just that. Sweden's campaign is well and truly up and running now, with a convincing second half display and a match-winning penalty scored by Emil Forsberg. Their man of the match, I would suspect, is the young man who's got heart stirring in Alexander Isak. But Forsberg, with the moment that counted, a clinical penalty, and it finishes in Group E, Sweden 1, Slovakia